Look, I think the university has as part of its vision and mission statement to create a just society for all. And universities are places of learning and fantastic research, but this university in particular states its goal to create a just society, to make cultural change. And, you know, the current stats and issues in Australia around gendered violence are stark and frightening. And I think this university feels as though it has a moral obligation as much as a social obligation to address the issue, try and make cultural change.
A culture of consent is a culture where people respect each other, a culture where men actively ask for consent, they actively and continuously ask for consent in sexual encounters. That's what affirmative consent is. It's making sure your partner is comfortable and continues to feel comfortable in any interactions that you might have.
I think the big thing around affirmative consent is that you should never assume. There is absolutely no question that when a no is given, it's no, or a stop, so never assume. Always have a conversation about it, and it can change throughout. Just because it's a yes, at the beginning of something, doesn't mean it continues that way throughout.
The most recent stats that I saw was that one woman dies every 4 days at the hands of a partner or an ex-partner in Australia. And, people call for things like royal commissions and investigations into it. I think that what we can do is try and help this societal scourge with education. And part of that education is not just in classrooms, it's not just in lecture theatres in universities, it's a more public education.
It's having these conversations and having more and more young men and boys understand that it's just an important thing to be aware of, and that if you've got the courage to have the appropriate conversation with someone, it could go a long way.
Consent, it's such a broad topic and it's something that's discussed quite a lot, but it's extremely nuanced and it's extremely sensitive. And I think through education, through seeking education, you kind of get that more nuanced perspective on what consent is beyond what we hear day to day that we kind of brush upon when we read an article. I think we all assume that we know what it is, but I think it's extremely important to really clearly, without any doubt, understand what it means.
For me, affirmative consent looks like two people that know each other, care about each other, they're not intoxicated, they're not incoherent, they have full control over their decision making, and they choose to have sexual relations together. There's been a spotlight shone on the issue, and rightly so. We've had way too many incidents and instances. The problem is not fixed by one group of people. It's going to be fixed as an entire community, entire society. The first step is an awareness of it.
I think it's a good place to start with elite athletes. A lot of people tend to idolise you and look up to you. So I think if we can use our platform to grow discussions and education in this space, it'll go a long way to making change. To me, affirmative consent looks like respecting your boundaries and respecting anyone's decision, yes or no, and assisting anyone else who struggles to understand those boundaries.
Personally, I feel like I've got a big responsibility in helping shape the cultures and the beliefs of many of the young people coming through, and young men especially who tend to go out quite a bit. It's probably the places where you find the most prominent situations where sexual consent's maybe not respected, and being drunk is not an excuse for any of this. You can't say, oh, I'm sorry, I was drunk and I didn't mean to do this. You need to respect the boundaries no matter what situation you're in. This doesn't not only just affect women, this affects everyone at home, and I think it's something that we need to speak out about it. I hope that we can look forward to a community and a place where we need to enjoy the beautiful moments and try to eradicate all the bad ones.
So the university's mission states, amongst other things, that we are striving to create a just society for all. And if the current stats that we talked about and the societal problem of gender-based violence is one of the biggest issues in Australian society at the moment, then it has to be addressed by places like universities.